Alright, so on C, the next thing that we're going to do, I see that I've got x's and y's, both of them are squared, which means that I need anything with an x or a y on one side, everything else can get pushed over to the other. I'm going to rearrange these terms slightly to get all of my x's together and get all of my y's together. Again, I'm going to leave a gap because I'm probably going to end up having to complete the square or do some other funky stuff going on. Alright, and that y squared was positive, so I'm going to go ahead and put a plus there. Alright, so just like I said on B, I want a 1 out in front of that x squared. Right now, I've got a -1, so that's kind of a problem. I need to factor that out because I don't even want a -1. I want just a +1. That's it. Alright, so I factor that out, which is just going to change all of my signs for my x's. And then I'm just going to have that still, that y squared minus 4y equals 6. From here, I'm going to slice that number out in front of my x in half, which is -6. So -6 divided by 2 should give me -3. -3 squared should be 9. So I want to add 9 here. But distributing that -1, what I'm actually adding to both sides is a -9. Alright, and I also need to complete the square for my y's as well, so I'm going to look out in front of my plain old y term. I'm going to slice that number in half, so -4 divided by 2 should be -2. -2 squared should give me a +4, so I want to add a +4 to both sides because there's nothing out in front for me to distribute. Alright, from here, all I do is clean this up a little bit. So I'm going to get -1 times the quantity of x minus 3, quantity squared, plus y minus 2, quantity squared, equals 1. Alright, so I see that my coefficients out in front have different signs, which is kind of unfortunate, but it also should be a dead giveaway that it's a hyperbola. Had they had the same signs, it would have been a cute little circle, but they didn't. So, can't happen. Alright, let's move on to the next one. Alright, so again, I'm going to get my x's and my y's to one side because I see that I have both an x squared and a y squared, so let's get those all together. So I've got x squared minus 2x minus 4y squared minus 8y equals 7. Alright. So again, I'm going to complete my squares if I can, but first I need to factor out that -4 out of my y's to make it a little bit nicer. So I should just get x squared minus 2x minus 4 times the quantity of y squared plus 2y is equal to 7. Alright, now we just slice and square. We try to complete the squares anywhere that we can. Alright, so slicing that 2 out in front of the plain old x in half, I get positive or -1. And then squaring that, I should get a +1. Sorry, I get ahead of myself sometimes. And then slicing that +2 in half, I should get a +1. +1 squared, I should also get a +1 here. So I want to add an actual 1 from my x's, but then from my y's, I'd have to distribute that -4, so I'm actually adding -4 to both sides from our y part of my completing the square. Alright, so now I just need to rewrite this left-hand side, so I've got x minus 1, quantity squared, minus 4 times the quantity of y plus 1, quantity squared, equals 8 minus 4 should give me a +4. Alright. So again, I see my coefficients don't match. They have different signs even. So again, that's going to be a hyperbola. I know, kind of boring, right? Both of them were hyperbolas. Alright, let's go to the next one. I see that I've got y squared minus 4y. I don't see an x squared. So I don't really need that 2x over there, so I'm just going to push it over to the other side. That's a minus sign. Alright, and then I'm just going to complete the square, so I should just add, should be +4. I don't have anything to distribute, so that's just going to be adding +4. So I should just get now y minus 2 quantity squared equals 2x minus 6. All right, so adding that 6 over to the other side to try to get it to be an x equals instead. Since I only see one variable, that means I should be solving for the other one that is singular. I should get y minus 2 quantity squared plus 6 is equal to 2x. And then finally, I would divide off that 2 out of every single term. So for those of you wondering, this is just going to be, okay, I've got the entire thing divided by 2. Well, that's the same thing as multiplying by a half. So I can just rewrite that as 1/2 times y minus 2 quantity squared plus 3 is equal to x. Which again, I only see one variable squared, so that should be a parabola again. The next one I'm going to look at is x squared plus y squared minus 4x minus 6y minus 3 equals 0. So again, I'm going to get all of my x's and my y's to one side, everything else to the other. Because again, I see that both variables are squared, so I need both of those to be part of perfect squares. So I'm going to rearrange this a little bit. So I've got x squared minus 4x plus y squared minus 6y equals positive 3, just pushing that over to the other side and rearranging some things. I don't see any coefficients out in front of either my x squared or my y squared that aren't positive 1, which helps me out a little bit. Alright, so then I'm just going to slice and square. So slicing that 4 in half, I should get 2. Squaring it, I should add 4. And since I added 4 to this side, I need to just add 4 to the other side as well, since there's nothing out in front to distribute again. And then I need to slice and square the number out in front of my y, which negative 6 divided by 2 gives me negative 3. Squaring that would give me a positive 9. Since I added 9 to this side, I also have to add 9 to the right-hand side. Alright, from here, all I got to do is clean this up. So I've got x minus 2 quantity squared plus y minus 3 quantity squared. And then suddenly, all of that is going to be equal to 16. Alright, I see that my signs match because they're both positive. I see that my coefficient out in front of my x is 1. I see my coefficient out in front of my y is 1. So that means that my coefficients match as well. And both of my variables are squared. So this time, finally, we see what a circle looks like. And with that, we're done. Have a great rest of your day.